Now, everyone, for coming here today for today's subject, which is Future in Focus, In-Demand Jobs and Workforce Planning in Kahnawà. I'll be your moderator, Tehosterihens. I am a reporter for City News Montreal with prior experience with CBC News and also NBC News in the US. So we have a lovely panel of guests right here. Number one, we have marquis-Deere, who is the Interim Executive Director of MCK. Now, just as a little bit of an introduction, just give us a little bit of a summary behind you.
So I started it at MCK in 2022 as the Director of Strategic Planning and Organizational Change Management. I know that's a mouthful, but I was in that role for about a year, and then I was the Executive Administrative Officer for the last 2 years, and more recently the Interim Executive Director.
And then up next we have Leslie Morris, who is right here in the middle. So Leslie is the Human Resources Manager at the Kahnawà Education Center and has held this role for the past 10 years. Among that, she is a KSS graduate and worked at KSTPP along with Tewatohnhi'saktha and enrolled at McGill University while working full-time and raising 4 children. So along with that, is there anything else you would like to just add to introduce yourself?
No, just hello everybody. I'm happy to be here.
And then finally, we have Robin Geyer. So Robin is the Director of Nursing and Community Care at the Karonhia Memorial Hospital Center. And she has been an employee at the KMHC for 20 years. Aside from that, anything else you'd like to add in terms of a bit of a summary for yourself?
No, that's pretty much it. My background is nursing, so that's why I'm the Director of Nursing and Community Care, but I'm happy to be here.
So we're going to get to the first question of discussion, and it's talking about overall needs within the community and specifically job development. So I'll begin with you. So now, what jobs or roles are currently hardest to fulfill within your organization?
So we have a lot of openings, a lot of vacancies. We have, I think, 30 open postings was one of the more recent numbers that I remember. So we do have just a lot of positions available right now, and as of recent. In terms of difficult to fill, I think that's a little hard to generalize, but you know, there are certain fields where there's less candidates that are local. So for example, legal services, so lawyers. Let me just refer to some of my notes here. Civil engineers, IT. So those are like kind of into the future needs as well, like long-term future needs at MCK. But if we'd have to say which ones are harder to fill, some of those. Yeah.
And you mentioned so around, so give or take 30 positions right now. Is that a large number, or would you say that's more on the low end just in terms of overall?
I think it's a lot of open positions, a lot of opportunities right now at MCK and in a variety of areas.
And then so if community members are interested in applying to this or looking into this, where can they go? Cool. So just to add on to that, so I mean, what are, when we talk about all these positions, where can people go, where can community members go to apply for these?
So we have all of our open positions inside at the Opportunity Fair if people would like to stop by the MCK booth. We also have our Facebook page and our website where people can go.
So the same question for you as well, Leslie. I'm just going to be asking it again. So what jobs or roles are currently hardest to fulfill within your organization?
For the KAC, it'd be leadership positions, and more specifically school leadership positions. When we post, we've got not too many applicants, I think, because it's viewed as a very difficult role, long hours. We also have a very difficult time recruiting for French teachers at the high school level. I feel like every year we continuously have like 1 or 2 vacancies, but there's generally a shortage in Quebec for teachers and French teachers. Also for Kahnawà speaking positions, like at our Karonhia school, we're always recruiting for language speakers, and that could be difficult. Recently, we've been posting for positions that require Kahnawà cultural knowledge. It could be a little bit difficult.
Yeah. And then as well, same question applies for you. Do you want me to ask it again?
For us, it's generally the professional position, so the ones where you do need the really specialized background. So nursing is kind of more common, but things like occupational therapy, physical therapy, right now we have a vacant social worker position, so it's things that you do need the specific license in order to practice are mostly our challenging ones. Again, because we don't have a ton of community members in these positions, and that's what we'd like to see the most, but we have to fill them with people who have the training, and across Quebec, there's shortages in those positions everywhere right now.
And especially within it, for Indigenous people to also hold those positions across all of these different sectors, it's also a growth, because maybe 60 years ago, they weren't in those abilities. So it also shows the potential for improvements, would you say too as well?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, nursing is more of a common one. We do have quite a number of community members who are nurses, but the other ones, I don't know, we just recently have our first physiotherapist from the community. So we are seeing advancements. We have an occupational therapist from the community, but still, like, we need more.
Would you like to add anything else onto that one? Okay. Would you like that or no? Okay, so I'll get to the next question. So now, when we talk about growth in the next coming years, what positions come to mind that you expect to grow within, let's just say, the next 5 to 10 years?
So for MCK, a lot of our bus drivers are nearing retirement age, so we're going to have a lot of openings in the next few years, potentially, for bus drivers. We also have, bus drivers and bus monitors. We're always looking for people with a political background as well. So the Office of the Council of Chiefs, it's always an advantage if people have knowledge of political systems, governments, things like that. And I mentioned, lawyers, civil engineers, IT. Leadership as well. I heard for KEC, that's another area where I would encourage, just because that's, my background in business, and that's a really interesting and good field to go into. We're also succession planning for capital construction foremen and laborers, roads and highway laborers, water filtration plant operators, and custodians.
Would you like to add anything else on that too? Same question applies, so I can ask again.
Okay. So for our leadership, we're in the early stages of developing a middle leadership program for our teaching staff to try and get them interested in school leadership. We're also in the early stages of implementing a Kahnawà language incentive program for Kahnawà teachers and positions that require the language. There's financial amounts linked to that program. So if we're hoping that it'll increase proficiency levels, we'll be able to recruit language speakers and retain them, because we did lose some Kahnawà teachers to other orgs and sometimes other schools. I feel like all the schools in the community are fighting for the same teachers out there. So,
right.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. And the same question applies to as well.
So I don't think it's one specific area within the hospital. Again, professionals is something that we always need. But as the hospital grows and we continue to offer more services, as we add on professionals, we also have to add the supporting staff. So things like finance and HR, housekeeping, our dietary workers who work in kitchen, administrative assistants. So we're going to continue to grow. We have retirements coming up as well in the upcoming years. We've already had a bunch. So there's not one specific area. It's just we know there's going to be a need in all different areas.
Well, one of my next questions was going to be about feeling the baby boom effect, where you're seeing an increased presence of retirement, as you mentioned, whether it be bus drivers, for example, or teachers or language speakers. You're seeing that growth. I mean, have you also been feeling that too as well within the past couple of years in terms of seeing, the impact of baby boomers retiring?
So I did a bit of work at KMHC in this area. I remember looking at stats and the number of people who are going to be retiring because the baby boomers are such a large generation, right? And I can't speak for other organizations, but I think in general, like the labor market is experiencing a big number of workers leaving the workforce, and that's having impacts on the organizations and all of the vacant positions.
Now, when we see that, now we're going to be talking about the next generation going on the other side of the coin of that. Now, when we talk about new applicants, maybe they're in the age range of maybe 17 to 24 years old, in that range. I mean, what are some skill gaps you consistently see in applicants? And this is in regards to each of your organizations, considering that maybe some are applying. And if you don't know, we can skip to another question too as well. Let's start.
I'm not really sure. Skill gaps.
It could be education, it could be certification, it could be training.
I can't really speak to skill gaps, but in general, I think qualities that MCK is looking for in employees and things that we're training in as well, like leadership, like Leslie mentioned. But just, I think in general, if people are eager, willing to learn, that always helps. If they're engaged and want to support the community, that all of the jobs at MCK have an impact to the community. Something that can also help is having a good understanding of the job descriptions that are posted. When you're interested in learning about a position and you read through the job description, if you're not familiar with something, doing a little research and, seeing if that's really something that would be of interest to you, and always like innovative and fresh ideas.
And then, so with that in mind, did you want to add anything else to that? Okay, sure.
I wouldn't say it's necessarily a skill gap, but I guess it's just advice I would give is find something you're passionate about, something that you truly enjoy doing, because I find that makes a difference with some of the people we see coming in, is that maybe we have those who will go into the PAB program because it's a quick program, you're certified at the end, but if you don't enjoy doing it, you're not going to want to stay in the career. So in any job that you do, the days can be hard. Not every day is easy, but as long as you're passionate about it, it's going to keep you engaged and wanting and enjoying what you do. So I think it's really just trying to focus on that. What makes you happy as an individual?
And then just to add on, because we have a variety of community members here who might be interested in learning more about these specific sectors. Now, just talk to us, I guess, as a general sense, like almost like a day-to-day or weekly. What do you guys go through? You can go one by one, just to kind of give a bit of background.
In
your positions.
In my position. So as Director of Nursing, I oversee 4 main areas within the community. So long-term care, short-term care, home care, and outpatient care. So my main role is supporting the managers in those areas. So really it's just dealing with whatever challenges they're coming up with, or if they want to have new opportunities within their service areas, it's supporting them with that. But then also at more of a strategic level, like making the day-to-day operations that they do linked to our strategic plan, looking for funding sources, and looking at kind of health and social services within the whole community. I don't know if that speaks to day-to-day, but those are all the things that I work on day-to-day.
Very busy.
Okay.
Same question.
Okay. For myself, working in HR, me and my team make sure all aspects of HR are carried out: compensation, benefits, all of our programs, wellness, and we try to balance the needs of the employees, the needs of the organization, and of course the needs of the students. It sometimes could be difficult, but we work really hard trying to support everybody and making sure everyone's happy and well and thriving.
Same question?
Same question.
So for me, I've been learning a lot recently in the interim AD position. So part of the role is to attend the council meetings and some more portfolio meetings with the chiefs. So, just linking some of those political and portfolio priorities with the operational, the MCK strategic plan, oversight of a lot of the different departments and areas. So I get to work with a lot of different people, and I really, I'm enjoying the work, and I enjoy what I was doing previously as well, like working with HR, IT, records, organizational development, public relations, administration.
Now, in regards to like some community members who might be interested and maybe even applying to some of these positions, I mean, when it comes to like candidates, I mean, what qualities make someone stand out as a potential strong candidate, maybe for each of your organizations?
So I think I touched on that a little bit. I'm going to pass it on to Leslie.
I could speak about teachers, strong candidates. We really strive to hire community members who are qualified, Bachelor of Education graduates who really have a strong willingness, and like they really love working with children. You have to have a really big heart and have good intentions, have a good mind.
And just to add on to that too as well, I mean, like for you, like what is like, is there a moment or a memory into your entire journey that you can think about that maybe has shaped where you are today in your position that maybe you can help inspire some of the community members?
Oh, geez. Really put me on the spot. I guess when I worked at Tewatohnhi'saktha, I was really inspired by the organization, how they were very organized, developed, and I was really inspired to pursue HR. I was an executive assistant. And if you surround yourself with successful people and smart people, you really can learn a lot.
It's a beautiful message. I'll go to the first question, makes it easier. So, is in regards, it's like what makes someone stand out as a strong candidate too as well? And I know the health sector is a bit different.
So similar to education, we really look for caring people. Like in healthcare, you have to have the heart to do it. It's like I said, it's not always easy. And also I touched on the passion part of it. Like you really have to enjoy what you're doing because it's not always easy. So those are really the biggest things that I could think of, like during the interview process, if that comes across, that it makes us really interested.
Now, to add on to that, another question I'm going to be asking is, so now, this is for every one of you, so now how are you preparing and supporting the next generation, ultimately the next workforce, the next generation of leaders in each of your sectors?
Within our organization? So I'm a prime example of the way I guess succession planning and leadership can develop at the hospital. So I've been an employee of the hospital for 20 years. I started off as a nurse in the inpatient. I then moved to team leader. I then moved to manager. And then in the last 2 years became director. So I had firsthand a lot of the knowledge, background knowledge of the organization, a lot of the experience with how we did things. And majority of our management team are people who have started out, I'll say like entry roles in those areas and have learned as they've worked at KMHC. So we really do encourage that, and we try and mentor and share the knowledge as much as possible, because it's, I always say I grew up at KMHC and my heart belongs there. So it's nice to see that within the organization.
Same question applies.
Could you repeat the question?
It's just in regards to, I guess, with the next generation. We have the next generation of workforces. A lot of the students that were here earlier today are just their first, it might be even their first time at a career fair, so to speak. So, I mean, how do you think this also inspires them? Is there anything you see in the next couple of years for them?
How to inspire them? Well, hopefully their teachers inspire them to go into teaching. I hope they make a good impact and positive experiences, and they look to go into the teaching. There's something I could, a few years back, we held a Bachelor of Education program, and we've had many successful candidates graduate from there. A lot of them started out as teacher assistants, and now they're teachers, they're qualified, and they're all working. So that was very successful. But we're hoping, we are in the works of having another one. So I'm looking forward to that. So hopefully it'll be an ongoing thing and the youth could, look forward to that.
So at MCK, we've had summer student programs, and I think we have good connections with Tewatohnhi'saktha. We try with the education center as well, but just to let them know maybe what positions are in demand. I also was inspired by a Tewatohnhi'saktha initiative a long time ago. It was like a scholarship for students who are pursuing degrees in business or IT at the time. So, they were advertising or promoting that as, a shortage in the community, or it's going to be in demand in the future. So, that sparked interest to me. So I think things like this, they can make a difference in people's lives, or they can, shift them into a different direction maybe, or spark some ideas. So I think doing things like this is really important. And then just internally, MCK is rolling out a comprehensive training program for our employees as well, so that we can prepare people for different roles within the organization. So.
And as you were all mentioning, it's obviously a journey throughout your entire careers. It's a mountain, so to speak. Now, is there any other, maybe one piece of advice that maybe you've learned throughout that entire journey that you can maybe broadcast to everyone here today? And also, I do believe we're being filmed, so this will also be online. So is there an overall piece of advice that you would like to give, maybe even for your younger self, so to speak, to as well? If you were to look back at yourself at 17 years old, 18 years old, what piece of advice would you give?
I think that's a great question. And for myself, I didn't go back to school right away. I tried a lot of different jobs in the community, and, I wanted to go back to school eventually. And I didn't qualify for the program right away that I wanted to go into. So I was looking at the stats, which programs at Concordia had the highest acceptance rates. So I got accepted into the English literature program. And then I worked toward getting all the prerequisites that I needed for the business program, which was harder to get into. So, I would say to people, don't give up if you have, your mindset on what you want to do. I don't want to say don't take no for an answer, but, you can be persistent and you can work your way around things sometimes. And just...
So essentially pushing through, right?
Yeah, pushing through, persevering, yeah.
And even in some instances, let's just say where you stumble, how do you push yourself to just keep going? Is there anything that comes to mind?
Well, it's not easy. You have to just continue, and, you have that goal in mind. So for myself, I wanted to finish. It took me longer than I originally planned. So being patient with yourself too, having grace for yourself. I think sometimes we have it for other people. We want to encourage people, but, we can also be our own cheerleaders and advocate for ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay. For me, I'd say for a lot of people or youth, they're not even sure what they want to do. I don't think I ever imagined myself working in HR. I never even knew what HR was as a teenager. But don't ever think any opportunity is not worth it. Experience certain jobs. Take whatever opportunities come your way, because it could always lead to something that really sparks your interest, and you'll find your path.
I'll say, well, first off, just make yourself aware of all the different opportunities, like you're saying, out there, and look into it. And if you want to work in health, but you don't know what to do, familiarize yourself with all the different opportunities. But also to jump onto what Dawn said, for me, I think looking back, where I've learned the most and where I've grown the most is with those challenging moments. So it's easy to say this is too hard and you're giving up, but you learn so much from just making yourself deal with that and get through it. And then you have that sense of accomplishment and being proud in yourself that I did it, and what's the next thing I can do? Yeah.
And then, one of the last questions I'll be asking is in regards to, I guess, the importance of events like this too as well. Just speak about that. When I was younger, I'm young now, mind you, but a couple of years ago, see my grandmother laughing over there. But when we see opportunities like this, talk to me about the significance behind them. We had, I think it was grade 10 youth coming here, and they're coming here and seeing the potential of what could be within the community. Just talk about the uniqueness about this event too as well.
Yeah, well, exactly what I was saying, making the youth aware of all the different opportunities that I know when I was in high school, it was like if I thought about healthcare, I thought nurse or doctor. I never really thought of any other opportunity. And had I known that, maybe my path would have been much different. So I think it's great to have them here, to have all the community members from the different orgs available to bring light to these things for them.
Yeah.
I just want to add the youth are very lucky at all the opportunity and everything the community has to offer today. And I just want to add that if don't be afraid to put yourself out of your comfort level, like we are today, sitting here with microphones. That's an opportunity to grow.
So I would just say, I don't think it's not just Kahnawà right now that there's so many openings. I took a course recently and the instructor was in the Midwest in the US, and he was saying similar, like there's so many opportunities right now. So you can get, a position that you maybe didn't think you would be able to get, or, there's just a lot of opportunities. So yeah, learn as much as you can. The importance of events like this, I mean, I'm going to mirror what they were saying, but getting exposure. And I think even in our own circles, we could talk to people about, I've always done that if people were interested in learning about career courses I've taken or things like that, so just being open and giving people time and explaining to them, answering questions.
So it's really also just seeing like what's available. Like, for example, one of you mentioned KSDBP is like a wonderful opportunity too as well, where if you don't really know what you want to do, you kind of can see what works and what doesn't. Is that what do you think also is great too as well for maybe the youth? Maybe this is their first time even hearing about KSDBP.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's uncommon for people to go for even a number of years down a career path and then decide it's not for them, or they want another another challenge, and then go a different way. So that's.
Would you like to add anything else to that?
I could just add to that. I always tell my kids, don't worry, you have many, many years to work. I'm sure you'll have different jobs.
There you go. And I think that was all the questions. I think now we're all free for a Q&A from the crowd. If there's any questions, please raise your hand. I don't know if we're able to bring up the mic, but we probably hear you. Nice. Yeah, I'll give it a mic. Hang on to this mic. Yeah.
Thank you. I also don't know if I'm going to be. Yeah. Hopefully I don't. Hopefully I don't squeak. Okay, I'll be over here. I just had a question about maybe, because you were mentioning at the beginning how each of your industries have some like professional backgrounds that are really helpful to filling those positions. So you're talking about political backgrounds, Bachelor of Education, and specialized backgrounds, occupational therapists, physical therapists, dietitians. What can, aside from things like this that are really helpful in exposing younger students to those professions. I'm not a parent, but I do work with youth and teenagers, and I think we have a lot of probably parents, grandparents, and family members in the audience. Like, what can the community be doing to, I guess, not push people in that direction? Because I think generally what I'm seeing is that people are trying to support whatever your interests are. If you're pursuing art or film or journalism, that's fantastic. But I'm looking at like the gaps that you were talking about that are coming. So industries that in a few years you want to keep hiring community members. So how do we support or encourage, or what can we be doing for our kids, our youth, to kind of guide them in those directions of the things that we're missing? Political backgrounds, Bachelor of Education, health backgrounds.
It's a fantastic question, first of all.
Yeah, so I think it's good that there's not just young people here at events like this today, but parents, grandparents, educators, so that everybody's aware of the trends, the needs, so that we can find those people who have those interests or alignments and encourage them to go into those roles. I agree with Robin though that you should have an interest and a passion. You should use your gifts and talents. So So, not every job or career is going to be for everybody. So I think that is a critical component. But we are striving to fill our roles with Kahnawà. So it's challenging, and there are gaps. So the more we can talk about things like this and encourage people, I think that's a step in the right direction.
I think for the youth, it's just awareness. They're not going to just automatically be aware what opportunities are out there and how you get there. So luckily we have Tewatohnhi'saktha and the post-secondary department at the Kahnawà Education Center. We have a lot of resources, and so yeah, it's just awareness, making them aware what's available to them, letting them go to events like this and try different things. So
I think one advantage that we have being a small community is that you tend to know someone in any kind of career at any given time. So I would recommend for either anybody who's interested in a career, or if you're a parent with a child, or you work with youth who are interested in a career, to just reach out. Like, I've had people contact me in the past to say, like, I'm thinking about nursing. Like, what does it really entail? What is school like? So I'm sure there's many people who are open to those conversations and would be open to telling about the different opportunities and what's needed and what each role entails. And that's one of the things I love about our community, is that we're so close that we can reach out to people and do that.
Just to add on to that, and from my experiences more in journalism or media, and to be completely frank, there's not many Indigenous people in media. There's maybe under 5, at least in mainstream in Montreal, and unfortunately I'm in that category. So we would definitely like to see more. There is a huge gap, and I think there was a statistic in all of North America, Native Americans comprise of 0.1% of all journalists across the spectrum, and that is incredibly low. So just obviously wanted to get in my industry, wanted to hear our voices, get the perspectives, which oftentimes you wouldn't hear back in the 50s and 60s. It's not often that you'd hear Indigenous stories or voices, and now when we have this opportunity, where not only just myself but others in the community, whether it's the Eastern Door, KTV, we have a variety of different journalists where community members and youth, they can just reach out. As you're just adding on to that is the importance of reaching out, whether it's just learning how to write an article, learning how to speak in front of people, learning how to meet your deadlines. Just it really varies, but really reaching out and providing into events like this is really vital. Certainly.
Good morning. My name is Brian DeLille. I have a family member that's working in one of the institutions in town. He's been there over a year, and as far as I know, by past experience working in the States and in Canada, after 90 working days, you're supposed to be accepted as a full-time employee, whereas he's not yet. He's been there over a year. Is that a truth, or is that just a fallacy, or?
So
that's what I want to.
They've been working for so the policy is after 90 days they're considered full time. Is that the?
That's my question. Aren't they supposed to be considered full time? Okay. As far as I know, I worked in the States. After 90 working days, you're supposed to be considered full time with all the benefits. Okay. And the same applies in Canada.
Okay. So we'll pass the mic. Just in general, I do understand it can vary from industry in some organizations, but I'll let them discuss on that.
I guess it all depends on their contract. Normally, there's a probation period. It could be 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. The max would be 12. But if they're on a continuous fixed-term contract, legally, after 2 years, you need to have all the benefits as any other indeterminate employee. You're basically considered indeterminate.
That wasn't specified when he first signed up, 2 years.
Okay.
Going on 2 years.
Okay, maybe after 2 year mark, make sure he brings it to their attention, because it could, maybe they're not going to realize, or sometimes people, they lose track. But after the 2 year mark, he should have pension, group, everything.
Pretty darn close right now, but I guess the top officials are busy on their thing, and they don't have time to look around and see who just came in, who's qualified, who's not. They don't take that into consideration, I think.
So maybe it could be almost like essentially a communication gap. Essentially, is what you're implying. So it could potentially be that. So maybe after.
It could be like a monthly survey as to where he stands or she stands as far as qualified, for qualifications to meet the 2-year requirement.
That could be something maybe picked up within the organizations too as well.
It's not publicly,
It's public now, so maybe after this conversation we can begin talking about it, and maybe after.
So many complaints to me. I said, come here, let me come on, speak.
I would encourage somebody to talk to their immediate supervisor, though, if they have any questions or, about their employment. They could always go to the HR of their organization as well.
Now for the question. Now, any other questions? Oh, Mac.
You, Sagos Kahnawà. Great job, great presentation, very informative. Appreciate your time. I did want to give a plug to, because of training, you have to train a lot of people, a lot of young people who want to change their careers. I want to give a plug to FNEE, HEC, in collaboration with HEC Business University. So they're here. Jahanda McCumber is manning the booth right there at the entrance. And so they have these amazing executive programs for First Nations people in Quebec. And they're free. These programs cost minimum of $10,000, and they're free to our people. So they have a women in leadership, they have a management program, they have a governance program. Now they're introducing a youth program. So I've been through 2 of them. Susie's been through 2 of them. There's more and more people coming from Kahnawà. But this is a good place to send people to get training, and the network that we're building amongst each other as Indigenous people from this area, but also with government, corporations. It's just an amazing program, and visit her. She'll answer all your questions.
Well, considering that you mentioned that, so just the headline alone, you said sometimes it's $10,000 for this, but yet it's offered for free. I'm hearing about that for the first time. I can imagine a variety are hearing that for the first time. I mean, is there any goals that you want to achieve in terms of maybe promoting it, talking about it, aside from events like this?
Just as a student, like from the program, and I'm going into the management one. I took the women in leadership and the governance. Now I'm going into the management. I'm just passionate about it, and I just want people to know about it. They're great. The staff is great. They have a lot of sponsors, corporate sponsors that are sponsoring this program, and just take advantage of it. If anybody has questions too about anything about these programs, you can come and talk to me.
I'll ask one more. Is there anything that comes off to mind as like maybe a success story that you've heard of?
Many. Yeah, so for myself, being in that program, I started a nonprofit organization called Maitri Trust for Indigenous women, and working on money trauma and financial literacy, investing. So we're doing the groundworks right now. And so Susie's my assistant, and we're working on building this foundation. So a lot of the support, of course, they were supporting us, but the support from the network that we're building at the HEC FNE is really, we wouldn't have found that, it would have been really hard to find it, but because now we have the network, it's helping us build a good, strong foundation for this nonprofit organization that's gonna eventually help many Indigenous women, all over.
Yeah, for that. And for those who are interested, go visit inside after. Is there any other questions too as well? Yes.
We spoke a lot about youth and opportunities, but what about right now in our workforce landscape where we have a lot of openings that we constantly see postings, and for people who might be looking at career changes, what is the consideration for transferable skills, or what kind of suggestions would you give as far as like upskilling or things to people who might be looking at transitioning to new positions?
So for us, a lot of them, always, like Don said, it's never too late if you want to change and go into one of the professional programs. That's always an opportunity. But we tend to see a lot of needs in even admin support. We have active postings right now for activity workers in long-term care. So I think a lot of the transferable skills for some of those jobs are just customer service, like being able to interact with people, being able to engage and have people feel like they're being heard. So that's a really big one for us, and that's something that's to me easy to accomplish. Most of our jobs do have a lot of social interaction and customer service in it.
I guess the same. We have a lot of different positions to administrative support. I've seen a lot of teachers. I've seen some teachers leave, go into different roles that aren't teaching. They just maybe needed a break. I've seen them return. I don't know. I can't really touch on that.
I'll speak, I guess, more for the admin, because that's a little bit more of what I'm knowledgeable in, but computer skills. I think that those transfer well into different areas that you go in today's workforce. A willingness to learn and change too. So change management, I think across a lot of the different organizations, we've seen them evolve, and with that comes change. And, sometimes it's not easy to undergo such drastic changes, and people could be resistant to change. So that can hurt, I guess, people sometimes if they're not willing to evolve with the organization. But yeah, a willingness to change and innovate and improve.
I think it could also be like taking that leap, because for my sector is more journalism and everything and all that. One of the best pieces of advice that I was ever given was from one of my journalism teachers, who opened the class with about 200 journalists in there, saying, you don't need a license to be a journalist. You can be a janitor. You can be a janitor and go into journalism, which has happened. And there was someone in my class who was 65 years old, when everyone else in there is around 18, 19 years old. And obviously you can see when I was speaking with him, he took that leap of faith where just one day, I can't remember exactly what his position was, but he had that, he had the drive. He had the drive, he had the willingness to do it, and he wanted to pursue it. Ultimately, he did that and was able to graduate. So why I mention that is because it's really taking that leap and really pushing through. And if you have the passion, and ultimately sometimes you don't even need to have credentials for certain sectors. Like, you don't have to have a license to be a journalist. You can have educational background, which does help with certain employers, but even at City News, we do have one reporter who didn't go to school for journalism, but they've been a journalist for longer than I have been alive. So you're seeing that there's many different avenues and different ways to go through, and it can be when you're 18, it can be when you're 43. It really varies. Is there any other questions? I think that's all the time that we have. Veni Nyawas, everybody, for coming here. Now we'll go out to our panelists. Thank you, everyone, once again. There's still some food that is inside, and Nyawa again.
Nyawa goa.